Hello, welcome to level 4, lesson number 5. This is a big dog. We're going to learn a lot of stuff in this lesson, more than we've learned all the way through up into this point. Now we're just getting off picnic chicken basket, which was challenging. This one's going to be really challenging. This is a lesson that we need to take slow and steady because there are a lot of concepts. So let's get right into it. First thing we're going to learn is something called the happy rule. So we can look at this word right here and we can see already that there are going to be two syllables in this word. How do we know? We know because there are two vowels that are not next to each other. So your student knows how to divide this word up. So we're actually going to move the vowels into their own rooms, to their own spaces. And we're going to push the P to the back, okay? The word I really want is actually the word happy. This will not say happy right now. This word right now would say, this would be an open A, and this would say happy. So the first thing I have taught your student, or we have taught your student, is to then push this the other way. And that should make a real word. This says hap, and this does say E. However, when I say the word happy, the P is most definitely in the second syllable. So that won't work, okay? Because I know the P is over here, happy. So in this case, we teach them about the rule called the happy rule. The happy rule states short vowels must be closed. If you can't hear anything closing it off, you have to double the next sound that you can hear. So this word would say, we want it to be happy with the ah sound right there. So if we go to our rule, which I will show you really quick here. Let's go to flashcards, which is right here. And it's the happy rule. Short vowels must be closed. If you can't hear anything closing it off, double the next sound that you can hear. So the next sound we can hear is the P sound, so we double the P. So this says happy. We want it to say happy. We need to double. We can look at a lot of words that follow that same pattern. So again, I don't want the word to be taffy. I want the word to be taffy. Ah, right here. Short vowels must be closed. I don't want this word to be, again, we're going to dot, divide, push it to the back. I don't want this word to be happen. I want it to be happen. Short vowels must be closed. You need to double the next sound that you can hear. Same with this word. I want this word to be, let's move this over here. So comment. I hear the M in the second syllable. Short vowels must be closed. The word is comment. Okay, so we can look at other words. We can change shabby into shabby. We can change Edie into Eddie. Okay, so that's part one. And if that wasn't enough, that's just one of about 5 rules we're going to learn today. Okay, and the happy rule is a lot, you know, I mean, it takes a lot of discipline for your student to stop and listen to that sound, that short vowel sound. Okay, so let's review. This was a unit that your student learned way back in level 3. And we talked about why does it have 2 L's, and it has 2 L's because it follows the FLOSS rule. Any word that ends with S, any one syllable word that ends with F, L, S, or Z needs to be doubled at the end. And that's for, again, one syllable words, okay? But I want to show your student that the all sound can be found in multi-syllable words, even if it doesn't have the 2 L's. So we start talking about how this word doesn't say out. It doesn't say as an apple here. It is still making its unit sound here. It says salt right here, salt. And we see that in, a lot of words. Like we can do the word salty or Baltic. Again, it doesn't say as an apple. It says all. And I show them that there are a lot of words that, then I would ask them to spell a word like almost. Almost. Okay, and we have quite a few words that have that all sound at the beginning. Almost, also. So your next rule that your student is going to learn is going to be called the almost all rule. And it says all only needs two L's when you hear it at the end of the word. So in the middle of the word, like almost or salty or Baltic, it will just be one L. Okay, next one, tricky one. First of all, I would ask your student to divide this word. Boom, boom. We've got two in the middle. This is just going to split apart. Now, what does this word say? This word says campus, right? And we would again revisit talking about the FLOSS rule. Reminding students that in a one-syllable word, there's two S's at the end. This is not a one-syllable word, though. This is a multi-syllable word. And so there are different rules for this multi-syllable word. And this word is the common spelling for the S sound at the end, just a regular old S, right? Campus. The word is campus, right? But then I'm going to show them this word right here. And that's the word confess. And so why would confess have two S's, but campus only has one? And this is going to lead to talking about the words where they're accented. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to divide these up. The skill is not in knowing how to divide these up. Your student has already learned how to divide these up. The skill for this is learning how to figure out where the accent in the word is. Now, many different programs have different ways of doing this, and there might be a way that's best for your student. Some people use a rubber band. Get a rubber band out here. Let's do a good color you can see. How about red? My red rubber band, okay? And we might figure out which syllable lasts the longest that way. Campus, campus. The first syllable lasts the longest in campus, okay? So right here, this is my first syllable, okay? But if I say the word confess, 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 the second syllable lasts the longest. And that's actually where the skill is. The skill is knowing where the accent is to know if you need one S or two S's. Now, I actually teach it a little bit differently. I call these for dinner. Some people say call for dinner, some people call the dog. So if I was calling the word campus for dinner, I would say campus, it's time for dinner. I automatically put the accent on that syllable right there. And if I was calling the word confess for dinner, I would say confess, it's time for dinner. And automatically, I know that the second syllable is where the accent is. So again, call them for dinner, call the dog. Some people cover their ears and they can hear the accent a little bit better. So campus, 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 campus. Some people that doesn't work for. So there's just a couple different ways that work for people. But I like to think of it like this. One gets one. The first syllable gets one S. Two gets two. The second syllable, if it's accented, gets two S's. One gets one, two get two. So let's try that and practice that for a hot second. The word unless. If I was calling it for dinner again, I call it for dinner and I would say unless, second syllable lasts the longest, double the S. That's why unless has two S's. Okay, now this word is trellis. Now I can see it has one S, so I automatically know how to pronounce this word. Trellis, trellis, trellis. It's a trellis, right? So I can it's hard for me to turn the sing-song off in my brain. Trellis, okay? So the first syllable lasts the longest, so one S, one gets one. Let's look at similar words like discuss. I need to discuss something with you. Discuss, discuss. Second syllable lasts the longest, two S's. Similarly, if we did the word discus, like I'm going to throw the discus, 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 discus. That's why discus only has one S. Okay, so the first syllable lasts the longest in discus. Let's try the word crisis. I'll give you a second to try that. So say the word crisis, 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 crisis. The first syllable lasts the longest, so you only get one S, okay? So this is what your student just learned here. Campus, confess. If the first syllable lasts the longest, or if the second syllable lasts the longest, double the S. Two get two. All right, last one. Okay, what sound does this letter make? Is how I would start. I would ask that question in the beginning. This letter makes the k, s, k sound. There's actually two sounds in that. X, all right? So it's two sounds that run together. So it kind of sounds like k, s, when you slow it down. Now, the first syllable in some words is X, like exist or exam or extent. You hear X in the beginning, and it creates something that's a little bit tricky, okay? Let's take the word I just said, the word extent, extent. You hear the S sound in the word extent. Where do you hear it though? Do you hear it in the first syllable or the second syllable? Extent. You actually kind of hear it slop over into both syllables. The S is kind of that connecting sound between the first syllable and the second syllable. Here's how we spell the word extent. So I would ask the student, where is that S sound that you're hearing in extent coming from? And they would know that the S sound is actually coming from the X. Remember, the X makes those two sounds. X, right here. X. So the spelling trick is in our language. You're never going to spell a word with EXS, okay? You have to be smarter than this S, I say a lot of times, or smarter than the X. It's trying to trip you up. The S sound is built in. So when you are trying to spell a word that has X at the beginning of it, you're simply going to use EX, okay? So that's the rule. The rule is use EX. And we can see that. I'm going to show you that one over here. So use EX. Now you're going to see in this green part, I have some stuff highlighted. I'm going to show you what kind of words that's going to apply to. So again, use EX. There is no EXS, EGS, EXZ, or EGZ. And I'm going to show you some words that sound like that and why that is confusing to some students. Okay, listen to the word exam. Exam. What does the first syllable say if I say exam? It says eggs, right? It might look something like this. Might look something like this. Just kind of depends on what you're hearing and what you're thinking through like that. But again, no words in our language start with E, G, S. Of course, we have the word eggs, but that's 3 letters, E, G, G, S, but not E, G, S. Okay? So then I would say go ahead and fix the spelling of exam. So when you're hearing that G sound, that eggs sound, it's actually going back to the rule I just taught, which is use EX, okay? Now the reason it has that G sound is because the vowel is next to it. That's just how we pronounce it, those X's when there's a vowel next to it. Look at the word extent that we started with. See, this is a consonant. So this will say extent, but this one will be exam. Okay, again, because the vowel just, that's what our mouth does. And so for this one, this would be the word expect. Again, it sounds like the EXS. Where is the S sound coming from? It's coming from the X. It's built in. If I said the word exact, that has that eggs sound. So I have to know, I have to be smarter than the eggs sound, and I have to kind of skip over it and just finish spelling. Exact, example, exit, all of those are followed by a vowel, so they're all going to have that egg sound. All right, so the last spelling rule that your student learned is the use EX rule. All right, let's switch gears and let's look at the extra practice pages for level 4. So I have taken the liberty of doing them ahead of time for you. Read each sentence, underline each word that follows the campus confess rule, circle each word that follows the happy rule. So, of course, we are looking for double letters are going to be the happy rule. Those are circled. And then the campus confess rule is underlined, and there's only a few on this page. So we've got discuss, dismiss, crisis, trellis, tennis, and unless. That is extra practice 5, number 5. Oh, I skipped over something. Let's start with extra practice 5, number 3. Can we try that, Lynn? Sounds good. Let's not go totally out of order. So again, let's start here. Extra practice number, lesson number 5, extra practice number 3. Read each word on the blank, write the spelling rule that it follows. So guppy is the happy rule, exam is use the X, crisis is campus confess, and you can see the rest of them are labeled for you. So trellis has 2 rules, as does success. This is just making sentences. Her funny friend had a yummy muffin at the traffic stop with Jenny. So you can make different sentences there. All right, now let's take a look at fluency building. Again, level 4, lesson number 5. We're simply going to do what we know how to do. So if you don't know a word, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ... divide. So dot divide, excel. If your student said excel, you would remind them that a C followed by an I, E, or Y will change to the soft sound, the S sound. So we're just going to go through and, you know, work on these words, make sure that your student has a good understanding of the vocabulary inside these words as well. So there's a couple that we have, you know, I talked about with one of my students here. I would focus on making sure your student can hear the short vowel. So I might find one like the word sloppy here. And I would say, okay, what sound is the O making? It's saying ah. Short vowels must be closed, okay? Puppet, dot, dot, divide that. All right, tell me what sound the U is making in puppet. So you really want that phonemic awareness piece. You really want them to understand that the short vowel sound has implications for making letters be doubled, okay? All right, so that's it. And that's a lot. And, you know, the next thing that we do it's not much easier. We're going to work on schwas after this, but remember your student has earned hard. They've worked hard to get to this place. So pushing through and supporting them with all of the extra practice work in doing 10 minutes a day, every day, no matter what. Remember, we're moving them from guessing and memorizing to decoding and working towards fluency and comprehension. So thank you for your support. That's it for Level 4, Lesson 5. I know it's a lot.